presents Frank's Fun with Frank and Friends, a fundraiser for the Southeast PRT team. This is a group of Carson Russell enthusiasts who each year support the PRT specialties in Perry, Georgia, in association with Peach Blossom Cluster by providing trophies and ribbons for both confirmation and performance PRTs. This is Frank, I'm Dawn, and we're going to be posting a series of training tutorials on the Southeast PRT team Facebook page that are going to walk you through 10 tricks that are on the Novice AKC Trick Dog title list. At the end of these tutorials, if you would like, you can submit videos of your dog performing those tricks. We're hoping for a lot of PRTs, but we will take any breed. And there will be a small fee associated with that, which 100% of that will be donated to the Southeast PRT team to support their work with the Perry specialties. So I have picked to start us out the basic get in the box trick. Now this is a very simple trick, and most dogs, particularly PRTs, like to get into things. So in one sense, it seems like it would be a very easy thing to train, but we have to keep in mind when our dogs get into things on their own, they've assessed that situation, they've assessed that object they're crawling into or that hole they're going into. They've made the decision it's safe. That's very different than us asking our dogs to get into something. Very, very different. So we want to take this slow and easy, even though most dogs catch on to it very quickly. Good boy, Frank. And we want our dogs to want to do tricks like Frank is doing right now. He did that on his own. He's confident. Now he already has his Trick Dog Performer title, so he knows this trick. But we're going to tear it down as if he didn't. So the first thing you need, a box, or several. There's no requirement for how high the box sides need to be, but we want it to be high enough that the dog knows it's stepping into something. It's actually getting into something. If you have a dog that's hesitant about getting into things, you can start with something like this raspberry flat. You can get those from your grocer or your Sam's Club or Costco. It's got openings in the sides. You can fold down the end so it's like a chute initially for the dog, and it's very low. The dog can see into it. Or you can take a bigger box that you may have and cut it down like this if you need to. Eventually, your dog understands the tricks. The sides can become higher to where the dog maybe can't see all the way to the bottom until it jumps in. But you don't have to. The bigger the dog, the bigger the box. You want to have room for the dog to get all 4 legs in the box. And eventually, if you want to teach the next iteration of this trick, which is to get in the box and sit, good boy, you definitely want to start with a box that's big enough for your dog to do that. Second thing, need a dog. Third thing, need a collar. And if you're working on the floor or your dog isn't real good about staying up on tables, you want to put a leash on them. That leash is just to help them stay in the space that you're working in training. Okay, we aren't going to use it. This is hands-off training at this point. If you have more than one dog, put the other dogs up. There should be some one-on-one time with the dog that you're training. Okay, I've got my other dogs are away. They're not happy about it, but they are away so that Frank and I can have some one-on-one learning time. And then the last thing you need, always need, is a sense of humor. Things will go wrong. Your dog may get creative. Your dog may say, I don't want to do this. You may do something really silly. This is my second video because the first one, the table collapsed. Frank jumped into that box so hard, he actually knocked the leg out of this table and it collapsed. After my initial shock, I laughed. Frank shook himself up, got right back up and wanted to, you can see he wanted to go some more. So always make sure you have a great sense of humor. These are tricks. This is a dog. There's nothing that important about it. But training is a great way to build relationship, to build trust, and also just to have a good time. Okay? Now, I use a lot of treats teaching, but I don't use the treats indefinitely. I use them as a learning tool, as a reward to let the dog know exactly what it is I like. Once the dog understands those behaviors, then I transition over to more praise. Occasionally they'll still get a treat, but I transition over to a lot of praise, petting, toy play, those types of things, so that the dog doesn't become dependent on me always having a cookie. Okay, I also fade the cookie, hide the cookie away, and we'll talk about that as we go too. But we need something that you can see Frank has just kept his focus on this treat. This happens to be chicken, skinless chicken. He loves it. He will work for this, so this is a great treat. If it was filet mignon and he doesn't like that, it wouldn't work as a training tool. But chicken works, so we're using chicken with the little guy here. And we've got a box here that he can get all 4 feet into. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a small piece of the treat. I want it big enough for him to see, but not so big that it fills him up after 1 repetition. I'm just lightly holding him here by his collar. I'm gonna drop this cookie way at the far side, and I'm gonna let him go. Good boy. Now notice initially he did not get all 4 feet in the box. For the first few repetitions, I don't care. I just want him to go, oh, this box is kind of a cool thing. I get a piece of treat out of that box when I go in it. I'm not telling him what to do. I'm telling him he's a good boy though. Good boy, yes you are. And he's naturally swinging his other 2 feet in to look back at me to get another treat. Good boy. Okay, good boy. Good boy. And he just thinks that's part of how this game rolls right now. Good boy. I'm just praising him. Oh, nicely done. He's taken that extra step to put those other 2 feet in, so I'm giving him another little reward, and then I'm luring him back out of the box. In a training session, 4 or 5 repetitions is enough. Now, if we were working on another trick, for example, we're working on our sit, I do 4 or 5 repetitions of sit, and then I'd come back and we'll maybe work some more on the box, do another 4 or 5 repetitions on the box. Oh goodness, did you spit that up? The reasons for this are twofold. First, it keeps the dog from getting bored. You don't want your dog to be bored with the training. Secondly, it makes it very easy to keep track of when you should be ready to move ahead and make the trick more difficult. It's called the 80% rule. Some people will do 90%. But the point of this is when your dog can do a behavior the first time the way you want it, 80% of the time, you can say with reasonable confidence that your dog has learned how to do that trick in that environment. Okay? So it's easy to keep track of, did my dog go after the treat in that box 4 times out of the 5 times we tried it? If the answer is yes, then you're ready to make it a little bit harder. If the answer is no, maybe they only did it 2 or 3 times, stay where you are. If the dog wouldn't go in at all, make it easier. Break down the end of the box, get a shorter box, do whatever you need to do, get a different treat. Do whatever you need to do to make it easier for your dog so he can still get those repetitions in. But since we're doing this all in a video, Frank's going to be doing a lot more repetitions of this behavior. So we've got our dog getting in 2 feet. Next step is we want all 4 feet. Good boy. And if you notice, all I did was I presented the cookie further back. Oh, so much for not jumping off the table, buddy. Okay. Yay! And notice I'm not going to get upset with him. I'm upset with me because I didn't want him to jump off the table. But I'm not upset with him. He doesn't know what the heck's going on. But I am going to put his leash on. Yes, because I goofed up and learned something. That if it's chicken, he will jump off this table. So I'm just going to let it hang though. It should slow him down. So again, this is where working on a table helps because it lets you reach out more. Okay, you're in the box. having him follow the cookie. And I'm holding it out far enough that he can get it. And you have all 4 feet in. Good boy. Notice again, I'm not saying anything. That time he only put 3 legs in. If I were telling him in, he wouldn't know if that means all 4 feet or if 3 feet are good. Good job, good boy. All right, so now he's going for the cookie, getting all 4 feet in. We're gonna say over several sessions that I've got that 4 out of 5 times, we're ready to move on, okay? Next step is we're gonna start saying the word as he's doing the behavior when we're pretty darn sure he's gonna finish the behavior the way we want it. So in other words, when we see that 4th leg going into that box, that's when we're gonna say whatever word it is that we're gonna eventually use for our cue. Turkey, hey. In, good, in. So I waited just a second for him to get that last leg. Good boy. In, what a good in. And then as I'm praising him, I'm using the cue as well. What a beautiful in. That is so nice of you. All right, good boy, you ready? In. Good job. Good job. Ready? In. Good boy. All right. So again, that's 5 repetitions. That would be a training session for you at home. Good boy. And see, he's like, well, this is starting to get me some cookies. And see, he's got a leg out. So at this point, because I'm working on all 4 feet in there, I'm not going to reward that. I'm just going to wait. He'll either fix it or he won't. It's tricks. I'm not going to tell him what. Good boy, good in. When he did it on his own, I'm going to reward that. Terriers in particular respond very well to training when they think it's their idea. So I let them think about the situation. Again, it's a trick. It's not life or death, so it doesn't really matter. Good boy. After we get to this point where the dog is consistently going in and we're saying, associating the word in or whatever you want to say with the behavior, we're going to start saying it ahead of the behavior. This is where we put it on cue. And at this point too, we start to make our food less obvious. Frankie, in. Good, in. So notice I was holding it for him so he could see it before. Now I've got it closed in my hand. Frankie, in. Now I'm still moving my hand because I'm going to use that hand gesture along with the cue to get him to do the behavior when I don't have any treats at all. Frankie, in. Good job, my man. You're so smart. Out. Frankie, in. Good boy. Okay. And we'll do our 5 repetitions. Good boy. You ready? Frankie, in. Lovely. Nicely done. And that's our next step. That's a training session there. 5 repetitions. Hiding the treat. It's still there, but I'm hiding the treat. Now I'm starting to give him a command. Okay. Next step. No cookies in my hand. The cookies back here in the bowl. Come here, bud. Buddy, I know. And he can hear the other dogs barking. So imagine how distracting that would be if they were actually in the same room with us. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my hand the same way as I've been doing. And I'm going to give him the cue, but I'm not going to have the cookie in my hand. Frankie, hey, buddy, in. Good boy, good job. There's a little bit of a delay in getting the cookie. All right, come on. Frankie, ready? Frankie, in. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Good job. Frankie, in. Oh, lovely. What a lovely in you did. If he hops out, I wouldn't feed him. He has to stay in there to get his cookie. Good boy. Frankie, in. Lovely dog. And again, 5 repetitions of that step. And we would call it good for a training session. Good. All right. Good job, bud. All right, the last step is to fade away having the cookie in our hands all the time. Another handy thing about working in sets of 5 is we can take our reinforcement down in 20% increments. Meaning if we're working in 5 repetitions as a training session, if we withhold treats and substitute praise or switches or whatever else it is that our dog likes, we've given him a 20% pay cut, okay? So we can make fairly quick progress. We don't want to rush this. I usually do maybe 2 or 3 sessions where 4 out of 5 times they get the treat, the other time they just get praise. They always get praise, but the other time maybe they get praise and just, oh, you're so smart kind of reward. Then I'll do, if that goes well, I'll do repetitions, sets of 5, where I randomly drop out 2 of the 5 cookies. Maybe it's the first one and the 4th one, or the 2nd one and then the 3rd one, or 2nd one and the 5th one. Dogs should never be able to know. This is where we make our dog into gamblers. They never know for sure which repetition is going to earn them the treat. They just know, yeah, odds are pretty good that we're going to get a treat. Same concept as a gambler sitting on a slot machine. They get a payout every once in a while, so boy, they'll keep putting those nickels or quarters or dollar bills in that machine on the off chance that this is going to be the time it's going to pay off. So that's how we get the treats to become rewards instead of bribes or lures. We start fading it away. And I start fading it away as soon as my dog can do the behavior on cue. Meaning I tell the dog to do it, they do it. At that point, when I've got that 80% reliability in their behavior, then I start fading away the treats. He'll get treats. Sometimes he might get a lot of treats. Sometimes, maybe in a session, I don't end up treating him at all, but he always gets something he wants, whether it's praise or a toy or an opportunity to go eat his dinner. Whatever he wants, he gets. Now you can see from the beginning of the video, Frankie's getting a little tired, even though he knows this trick. Good boy, you're so smart. Because I've done a lot of repetitions. That's why you do not want to do a lot of repetitions when you're training. Frankie's checked out. He checked out a while ago. You can probably tell about the point where he started to check out. But he's got the behavior. We've walked through all the steps of the behavior. So again, you're going to start with a low box. You're just going to toss the food in. Don't say anything. Let the dog go get it. Praise them when they do. Then you'll build the sides up a little bit higher so the dog can't have quite as much visual on the treat. Put it in. Have them be comfortable doing that. 4 out of 5 times, 80% of the time, they're willing to jump into your new box. Then you can, if you want, make the sides a little bit higher, or just start introducing the cue that you've decided you're going to use. And it should be unique. You shouldn't have something else get in this, in that. You want it to be something unique. You're going to give them the cue as they're doing it correctly. Once you get 80% of that, then you're going to start saying that cue a little bit ahead of them doing the behavior. So now you're starting to ask for the behavior. Instead of labeling the behavior as they do it, you're asking them to do the behavior. Then they do it. 80% of that, you're ready to start fading away the treats, okay? Start with 1 out of 5 times not rewarding and work your way up to 4 out of 5 times with no treats. I always vary up. My guys usually don't get the same reward more than twice in a row, with the exception of praise. I always praise them. Those are the basic steps. One way to teach your dog to get in a box. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a note on the Southeast PRT Team Facebook page. It is SEPRTTEAM, all one word. And make sure you like and follow us as well. And we'll do our best to get you answered. Next time, we're going to work on teaching our dogs to sit. Hope you see you then.